Hello, this is Roger Ray of the Navajo UFO YouTube channel. I'm here in San Felipe, Baja, California. I have a residence here. And for the first time officially, I'm out here videoing alien spacecraft. I know that they've been here in the past, I've seen them myself, but now in this first time official capacity in terms of posting it on my YouTube channel, I'm being a little bit more rigorous how I approach the subject matter, and I believe there is a ship right there. It's showing all the characteristics of rotation and color change under my night vision full color device. Didn't expect this at all. I thought it would be washed out by the moonlight that's right above it, but it's actually acting to enhance it. You see the moon up there, and then the shore here, which is absolutely beautiful. You see that casting of the moonlight on the water? But there's the ship right there, and that's not the only one I saw. I'm now doing a second recording, which I normally don't do because it's another one popped up. And so now it's a matter of what are they going to do that they now know I'm here. I did my very small slight meditation and projected out my telepathy methodology, and boom, right here. See how the rotation's starting to increase? That's, I believe, a kind of recognition that it's like, okay, I see you, guy, and I'm communicating with you. So what are you going to do? When I first came out here, just less than an hour ago, there were two ships that just moved off to the north. And I'm like, what? Ah, no, that can't happen that quickly. You know, you just never know. So that's right below the moon, and I'll show you the other one that I had talked about in length. See, it's right there. It's still there. So I would imagine this is another whole alien civilization. I had mentioned in the talk I gave in the other video about Valiant Thor and the possibility of his ship being here. So I may marry these two videos together so I don't have to repeat my dialogue on Valiant Thor, but I'm calling that a ship. And then I'm going to come back over here to this one, and I'm calling that a ship. Amazing. I'm dumbfounded. I mean, geographically, this whole area, the Sea of Cortez, has been described as the aquarium of the world, according to Jocko Stone. 1/3 of the whales in the world come right here to this coastline to have their babies. Mainly because if you know the geologic ramifications, you have the Colorado River that has emptied into the northern part of the Sea of Cortez for who knows how long, thousands of years. And consequently, you have an incredible amount of krill that exist there, attracting the whales because of the food source, and consequently then also having their offspring. But in the same area too is this tremendous activity of alien craft that I'm also trying to associate with the Sea Indians. You can look them up. And controversially, the Sea Indians' religion incorporates that boxer, that made famous the frog, which is the sebaceous gland above the eye that's expressed and then smoked by the Indians, and it has DMT in it. And by doing that, they consistently have interactions with aliens by ingesting DMT from this frog. Now, the Seri Indians live basically directly across this water. They have an island, and they live along they would be the west coast of the Mexican mainland, and that's about 50 miles directly across from where we're at. So all of those bits of the puzzle I'm trying to incorporate in the craft that I've seen here, like these right here. So this is, and again with the Valiant Thor story. All these different aspects that I've researched and put together, and my own sighting that I had mentioned, and that I'd probably end up doing two videos, so I'll repeat myself. So I had a sighting, a very clear sighting, and I'll include the picture into this video, of a saucer-shaped UFO. No mistake, incredibly clear. And it was told to me by a gentleman at the Life Conscious Expo in 2020 that in his context that is Valiant Thor's ship that passed over my head. And he actually had the internal drawings of it. And I have to recall exactly what his lineage is and why he ended up having a booth, but he's well known in the UFO community as being you know, a legitimate source. So I got verification of that image, which you will see interdisposed, and I'll try and be more articulate about the Seri Indians and include some of their data. But you're seeing live right now at least two craft that I mean, of course, my approach is a kind of one of intuitive knowing or knowledge. I don't come out here and go, gee, I hope they show up. It's like, yeah, they're going to react to my thought processes, my thought, or my telepathic methodology that I have defined in my Facebook page. I invite you to go to Roger Ray, my Facebook page, and you'll see there a number of posts that I believe illustrate scientifically the establishment of a telepathic model based on sacred geometry, and then following the line of the alchemists and so forth. My telepathic work is really based on a geometry that Nassim Haramein has dedicated his whole life to, and the Merkaba and the cube octahedron and so forth. And I just I build off of that work in what I consider my theory, which I hope these videos actually show as correct, which is that a particular thought wave, which I believe is mentioned by another mentor of mine who I've never met, but Dr. Stuart Hameroff, an anesthesiologist, philosopher from U of A in Tucson, who talks about these quantum moments of collapse, approximately 40 times per second, that are the aha moments. So I'm equating those to these thought waves that I've defined geometrically, that my theory is that they actually, we create mini black holes in in design, and that's how we take in quantum gravity, according to Nassim Haramein, put it into a focus point, and what comes out of the other side, which is, you're talking about two conic structures that are touching at the apices. What comes out the other side is essentially radiation, meaning frequencies, whether it be photons, X-rays, or whatever, but it's part of the way that we interact with the quantum field and create consciousness. So all of that is outlined in more detail on my Facebook page. These videos will go into my YouTube podcast on my Native UFO YouTube channel. But so far I've had great success wherever I've gone and done the work, and have been able to project. Because part of, and this is more known by friends of mine, I'm also a certified ultrasound technologist, which is quite an endeavor. It takes thousands of hours, typically, for me at least, to be able, in your mind's eye, to imagine 3D anatomical structures. So I was able to acquire that skill, and because of that, I'm able to take 3D geometric structures and easily, in my mind's eye, form them and project them to the craft. So it's a unique set of circumstances for me, how I came upon doing this and then formulating my theories. But as far as I know, this is the proof. The proof is in the craft actually appearing. So I'm not saying at this juncture, in this case, that I summoned them, or were they just here and I was fortunate enough to pick up on them. I don't know. When you're dealing with interdimensional realities, you're talking about timelines and time changes and destiny versus free will. And, was I destined to do this? Did they already know I was going to come? You can make all these different conjectures or speculations. But the bottom line is there's one right there. There's one right there. And he's not going anywhere. So when I was in Taos Pueblo doing my podcast, same kind of thing. The ships tended to be more stationary. And then as one of my colleagues started speaking more in depth about Taos Pueblo and history, here comes meandering a ship right through the field of view. Astounding. And Steve wasn't aware of it, who was speaking, because he wasn't looking through the night vision like I was. But as he was speaking about the history of the Star People with the Taos Puebloans, here comes this ship passing right through the screen. So that's why I hesitate to move away, because one of my theories is that the more that you project thoughts and consciousness to these ships, they react to it. So by me continuing to speak about it as I film it, they are fully aware of what I'm doing. And that's really the neo-consciousness that goes on, that is coming, which is, if you can imagine the, essence of understanding another person's heart. When I talk about telepathy, it's not, words that appear in your mind, although that can happen, or astounding images that are transferred from one entity to another or one race to another. That's not what I'm talking. That could happen. Telepathy is just more of a generalized description of reading energies and getting a sense of intent of other individuals, whether it be from this planet or another planet. like, you know, we've all been in social situations where, you know, the people in the group are interacting and talking, and all of a sudden an individual comes in, and there's nothing that's somewhat disarrayed about them or disheveled, but the moment they walk in the room, everybody gets quiet. Like, something is not right about this person. Now, what is that? Well, I would call that a kind of telepathy, a kind of the energy that's being projected out by this individual. Nothing has been spoken. He hasn't looked in any particularly honoring way. But yet the entire room is aware of his presence. So that's a kind of explanation, one explanation how I'm in bringing in telepathy. Also, I have sent my images, or I'm sorry, my videos to Dr. Rupert Sheldrake, who I just adore as a human being, and his affect and his work in morphic resonance, which also I believe umbrellas under this telepathy, where, you know, your beloved dog sits at the door and already knows before it even hears your car that you're on the way home. It's already sitting at the door. And it could be at different times, and that's because it's, you know, he maybe picks it up from you being at work or something. But we've all had those kinds of instances where our pets have a kind of telepathic energy association with us. And we're connected, you know. Somebody calls, you were just thinking about them, phone rings, oh, and it could be somebody that you haven't heard from for months. I knew you were gonna call. I knew it. Picked up the phone, there they were. So, it's my understanding from my contacts, that's kind of reading of energy is what's out there in it's called the Galactic Federation. That's how they pick up on each other's nuances. I'm sure there's more elaborate ways that they can communicate detailed information, but a lot of that is relied upon to keep yourself safe. I mean, I myself use that somewhat in the emergency room. When I have to go deal with an individual, you know, are they just intoxicated, or are they on meth, or do they have any psychosis that I need to be aware of? And you have to get a read off of them energetically to kind of ascertain this to keep safe. Same thing. That I consider it under the umbrella of telepathy. So that ship is not going anywhere. It's been there for quite a while. Let me go back towards the south and see if that other ship is still around that was under the moon originally when I first came out. Oh yeah, he's still there. Here's the other one. Two prominent ships and two that moved off. That was in the very early part. I've been here now for approximately an hour. So, probably going to do this again for a few more nights and repeat the storylines and be more succinct and better at it. But thank you for viewing to the end, and oh, I just saw a flash. Thank you for viewing to the end, and I hope you enjoyed my unstructured dialogue, but I'm going to be more precise next time. And the ships, because I really was not thinking that any ships would actually be out here. But this is not a conscious process. This is not a quote-unquote three-dimensional particle-based Newtonian physics-based, approach. This is from the quantum field, from quantum thinking, quantum projection. And so, yeah, my conscious Newtonian self is surprised, but those emotions are not really at play here. I don't know if I'm making sense, but yeah, you can see very faint behind it regular stars, just for comparison. So anyway, let me pan out, and I'll end the broadcast or the podcast on that note of a very, very beautiful Sea of Cortez ocean that's illuminated by the moon, and the craft sitting there. Isn't that nice? That is so nice artistically, I think. I'm really, really pleased with that. So thank you all. Take care.